Welcome to Your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 933. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book but you need some help getting it done, you are in the right place. Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh. If you're looking for me online, look for Christine Inc., like that stuff we write with. Each day, I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 20 years as a ghostwriter, book writing coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who barely sees themselves as a writer into a published book author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. And once again, happy Sunday, everyone. As we do every Sunday here on the show, it is Sunday Story Time, where I grab a book off my bookshelf, whether it's one of my own books, a client book, or a book that has positively impacted me in some way. I read you an excerpt from that book followed by some sort of learning question so that you can apply the information to your own work. And this week I have selected a client book off my bookshelf. The title is A Bum Deal, An Unlikely Journey from Hopeless to Humanitarian by Rufus Hanna and Barry M. Soper. Here is the excerpt. During Michael Stoops' visit in 2006, I did a training film for POST, California Commission on Peace Officers, Standards and Training. I was uniquely qualified, I guess, to help educate police officers about how best to deal with homeless people humanely, intelligently, and safely. The homeless were, as I had always thought, like owls in the night, the unpaid eyes and ears of the police. The name of the film was Law Enforcement Response to Homelessness, a telecourse for police officers. The program was delivered to hundreds of post-law enforcement agencies throughout California. Just before the post videotaping, I addressed a seminar attended by law enforcement officers, district attorneys, and members of the Attorney General's office. I spoke about my experiences as a homeless person and then took questions for 45 minutes. Afterward, those people, who would go on to teach others how to interact with the homeless, approached me to offer their appreciation. One of Michael's and my ultimate objectives, however, was on a larger scale. We wanted to make assaults on the homeless an official hate crime, and therefore a felony with greater penalties. This was probably the most ambitious goal I had ever worked toward in my life. I became more committed to this than I had ever been to anything in my life. On some crazy level, I felt that succeeding in this would start to make up for all the relationships, marriages, and jobs I had failed at so miserably in the past. I thought of the physical pain, the humiliation, and most of all, how I felt when sitting in the courtroom watching the bum fights filmmakers get off with so little punishment. I was determined to turn the bum deal that Donnie and I received into something positive that would aid and hopefully save the lives of many people, helpless people across the country. Early in 2006, another friend of Barry's stepped forward to help me. When San Diego County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis heard the story of the bum fights, and more important, the story of how far I had come from homelessness and hopelessness to humanitarian, she wrote a letter to California State Senator Christine Kehoe. Together, the two prepared legislation called the Rufus Hanna Act. It emphasized that any violent act against a homeless person would mandate an additional 3 years in sentencing. The only problem was that it was June when the bill was ready for submission, which was too late to get the legislation successfully into the hopper, as it was commonly known in politics. The lawmakers would have to wait until early 2007, regroup, and try again. Through a lucky coincidence, though, I wouldn't have to wait that long. The 60 Minutes interview aired in October 2006. State Senator Darrell Steinberg happened to be watching that night. Steinberg was already a vocal advocate for the homeless, and he took action immediately. He proposed legislation designated SB 122, similar to what Senator Kehoe had tried to introduce unsuccessfully. The legislation once again didn't pass in January 2007, but Steinberg planned to reintroduce SB 122 in January 2008, and every subsequent January, if that's what it took to get the bill passed. All the people who were suddenly on my side humbled me, especially after all those years when no one had my back. Well, I guess one person had my back. Without Barry Soper, I would not be here to tell this story. I have no doubt about that. Yes, he is my employer, but I never think of him like that. He is my friend. We'd come a long way from mistrusting, even disliking each other. It had taken me a long time to appreciate Barry's heartfelt assistance and kindness, and I couldn't blame him if he had ever thought that he was wasting his time on me. But I'm so glad he never gave up on me. That, again, is an excerpt from a fantastic memoir called A Bum Deal, An Unlikely Journey from Hopeless to Humanitarian by Rufus Hanna and Barry M. Soper. And the question I have for you today, is there a bigger why behind your book? I have one book writing coach client who is sharing her story as part of her goal to be an advocate for sex trafficking victims. Another client is sharing his story to educate the loved ones of addicts about the actual experience of being a drug addict. But here's the thing. You don't have to have actual logistical humanitarian goals. Never underestimate the power of intention, of having a strong why. Knowing the what of how you'd like to influence change without being clear on the how. If you had the proverbial magic wish, the genie in a bottle, to wave a wand and make something big happen, what would be the thing related to your book, related to your message, your story, that you would make happen? Today's Sunday Storytime book was an autobiography by Rufus Hanna. He went from teenage alcoholic in Swainsboro, Georgia, to really lifelong alcoholic and homeless person in San Diego, California. He was the infamous tattooed star of the bum fights videos that Howard Stern nicknamed Rufus the Stunt Bum. But through the kindness of a stranger, my client Barry Soper, and what must have been really incredible inner strength and fortitude, Rufus turned his life around. He went to business school, earned a 4.0 GPA, and then, as referenced in today's excerpt, he went on to become a public speaker, humanitarian, and political advocate for the homeless. Sadly, Rufus passed away on October 4th, 2017, in a car accident back in his hometown of Swainsboro, Georgia. But Rufus left his mark, in person and via the legacy of his book, A Bum Deal. That is the power of a book. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And be sure and drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook and let us know how we can support your writing goals. Until tomorrow, happy writing.